Hello, everybody. Great to be live with you. Wanted to catch you guys up on the latest out of East Palestine, Ohio, a small community that got nuked early in February by a train accident and the resulting horrors that followed. Okay, I feel like people buried the lead in regards to the consistency of the chemical toxins that were released in the controlled burn of the spill. According to a lawsuit filed this month, those chemicals add up to something that was actually a warfare agent, chemical warfare agent back in World War I, and was banned by the Geneva Convention. This is according to one of the many lawsuits now being filed in regards to this. So we're going to catch you guys up on that, as well as where these toxins are being transported. Toxins that were spilled are being moved to different parts of America, apparently secretly, and local jurisdictions are finding out about it in odd ways, not because anyone let them know, not because the people, not because Norfolk Southern let them know. So we are going to catch you up on that, as well as the Biden administration, what they're doing. So Joe Biden is still avoiding the site. Look, he's pretty unhealthy, right? And he probably is in the know about how toxic it is out there. Anybody who sets foot out there might be in danger of getting their health damaged. Dr. Mark Siegel of Fox News went out there and he said you can still, I guess he just went out there this week. He said it's still a charred smell in the air. He wanted to see for himself what was going on. We've seen the pictures of the countless dead fish in the creek. He said he's meeting sick people out there as well. It wasn't only fish. Chickens died. Foxes died. We've covered that in my previous show. So Biden is saying, I'm gonna avoid that area as president. He hasn't said it's because the air is toxic still. In fact, the government is saying, no, it's safe now. You can go home. The mayor of East Palestine this week said, we're trusting that these big EPA officials are saying it's safe now, but we really don't know. And we want to get to the bottom of it because we really don't know how safe this entire area is still. The Biden administration did send a bunch of door knockers out to East Palestine over the weekend. I'm going to catch you guys up on all that before we dive all the way in. Shout out to the sponsor of my coverage. If you feel like you're losing, you're tossing and turning at night, you're not alone. You might have insomnia. I've had insomnia a lot in my life. Okay, so that's why thousands of Americans are turning to this natural sleep pill. It was formulated with 7 key nutrients to support sleep, as well as a calm, peaceful state of mind during the day. With its 7 premium research-backed nutrients, every serving is designed to help put your mind and body at ease while helping support the deep sleep that you crave. If anyone who knows me knows I hate pharmaceuticals, so I love that this is a natural health supplement that helps your sleep. Ingredients include L-theanine, melatonin, magnesium, lemon balm extract, chamomile extract, passion flower extract, and vitamin B6. These 7 key ingredients provide very powerful support for deep, refreshing, restorative sleep. Get your bottle 51% off and reclaim your good night's sleep. If you order today, you will also receive several free bonuses before their half-off sale ends. Go to ivorysleeps.com, link down in my description, ivorysleeps.com. If you're on your phone, hit that more button. You'll see the link in my description. With that being said, let's cut to the chase on this. Okay, so bottom line, Biden administration, Joe Biden, instead of going in person, he sent workers out there from FEMA, from the EPA, and from the CDC to knock on over 500 people's doors. These past few days, they knocked on more than 500 people's doors, giving out flyers saying, we're going to be here for you now that it's 3+ weeks out, and trying to get a sense of how people are actually faring, how sick they are, I guess, after this East Palestine derailment. I want to show you guys this story that this lead that I think got buried. I mean, I just feel like I haven't heard people talk about this, but this was a story covered by the local news actually February 16th, which was my birthday. So I wasn't paying attention to it when it came out. I was celebrating my birthday, but this is crazy. The headline is not as interesting as further down in the article when they talk about this actual chemical warfare agent. Apparently, this is the sixth lawsuit filed. Residents there are trying for a class action lawsuit. Let me check the comments, make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, I forgot to do that. I always want to make sure. Good. Yeah, we're doing a late night show. Okay, so here's the deal. Quote, the lawsuit alleges that burning vinyl chloride creates phosgene gas, a chemical warfare agent used in World War I that has been banned by the Geneva Convention. The attorney filing this lawsuit, attorney John Morgan, says, quote, I'm not sure Norfolk Southern could have come up with a worse plan to address this disaster. Quote, residents exposed to vinyl chloride may already be undergoing DNA mutations that could linger for years or even decades before manifesting as terrible and deadly cancers. The lawsuit alleges that Norfolk Southern made it worse by essentially blasting the town with chemicals as they focused on restoring train service and protecting their shareholders, he said. Authorities say they undertook what they called the, quote, controlled release of unstable chemicals to prevent a possible explosion at the derailment scene. This is according to NBC 21 WFMJ local news in Ohio. Quite stunning. It still just boggles my mind that they would do a controlled release. They were scared about an explosion, so they actually created an explosion. They created an explosion that continued to burn and spill apparently a chemical warfare agent capable of mutating people's DNA. This is horrifying. My heart goes out to these residents of East Palestine. But here's the thing. Now, not only is Norfolk Southern, not only did they nuke that town, but now they're moving these chemical warfare agents across the country, as far as we can tell with these news reports. Channel 2 here in Houston talking about how we've, government officials here in Houston, where I live, have recently discovered that the East Palestine, Ohio toxins have been transported right here to Houston. Trucks have been driving through Houston with toxins from East Palestine, Ohio, transporting them down to Deer Park, which is an eastern suburb of Houston, just outside of Houston, right near the Gulf of Mexico, where there is a company named Texas Molecular that's going to dispose of these toxins. I looked up Texas Molecular's website, and apparently they dig deep into the ground and they just kind of pour the toxins way, way down into the ground. They say that the toxins are poured far enough down into the ground. Apparently it's below the water that we use for drinking, so that we don't need to worry about water that's actually going to come out of our shower or our faucet being associated with this. And again, it's this big thing of we just have to trust, right? Trust what they're saying. How can we tell whether that's actually true? I want to show you Channel 2 in Houston's coverage of this. Quote, Deer Park Company at center of Ohio toxic wastewater disposal controversy provides statement after EPA puts pause on transport operations. So it's really interesting. Their statement here actually says that so far, they started receiving shipments of this water on February 16th. The toxic wastewater from Ohio first arrived in Houston, Texas, February 16th. They were receiving shipments all the way until February 24th. A total of 167 truckloads shipped through Houston with nobody knowing, no resident, no government official knowing, for a total of more than 700,000 gallons of toxic waste shipped through one of America's biggest cities, Houston, Texas, without the knowledge of the residents or the government officials in order to get to Deer Park, Texas, on the eastern side of Houston, again, right by the Gulf, where they're apparently funneling this water deep into the earth where it supposedly will not pollute anyone. Well, that's directly below one of the biggest cities in America, and it's also directly next to the Gulf of Mexico. If you're going to dispose of toxic waste, couldn't you find a more remote location? I think there's, desertous and mountainous locations in the western part of the United States where nobody lives. Why are they funneling this waste deep into the crevices of the earth where below a major populous area, Houston, Texas, and next to the Gulf of Mexico? This is weird, but here's the crazy part in this statement. They said that Texas Molecular actually has a permit from the government that allows them to dispose of 230 million gallons of toxic waste every year. Texas Molecular, based just to the east of Houston, Texas. So you're telling me that we Houstonians in Texas did not know that every year hundreds of millions of gallons of toxic waste are being pumped right beneath us, and we're supposed to trust that it's not making its way back up to us in the many bodies of water and in our sinks and our faucets every year, and we were not aware of it. And now government officials like the county judge are freaking out, and turns out this always happens. It's just that one of these toxic situations made big headlines and it alerted us. That's just a little alarming to me that this stuff is being pumped directly below us here in one of the most major cities. Now, Michigan is another state where this toxic waste is being shipped to. And Michigan officials were just as jarred to learn that both toxic waste from Ohio and toxic earth, they were taking, dirt and shipping it to Michigan as well. Why are they doing this? The Hill was covering all of this. They said, quote, cleanup of the Ohio site where Norfolk Southern train derailed is continuing weeks after hazardous material leaked into the air and forced thousands of people to evacuate from the area for about 5 days. People only evacuate for 5 days, but the cleanup is continuing to this day. And they said state officials had said people could safely return home and use the water, but residents have reported rashes, difficulty breathing, and feeling sick, along with smelling noxious odors as they have come back. But government says, never mind. That smell and that rash on your skin is probably something different because you're safe to come back. Our buddies at Norfolk Southern told us it's okay. I'm being a little sarcastic, but Huffington Post talked about how when Ohio's EPA first told residents that everything was safe, that the water was clean, it was after they took testing that was done by Norfolk Southern. So basically, we joke about how the FBI investigated itself and found no wrongdoing. Well, Norfolk Southern investigated themselves and found no wrongdoing. Literally, the EPA allowed Norfolk Southern to investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing and say, okay, everybody, you can come back. You won't get a rash. Oops, people are getting a rash for some reason. But here's the headline: water testing after Ohio derailment led by rail company itself condemned as sloppy. So the Ohio EPA faced backlash for allowing Norfolk Southern to investigate itself and say, oh yeah, our spill didn't even damage the water. Turns out it did damage the water. Now that water's been secretly shipped to Michigan and Texas. Well, there was so much backlash after the shipment of this water to Michigan and Texas that it was actually halted a couple of days ago. They stopped shipping the water and the contaminated dirt to these foreign states, Michigan and Texas. At last check, NBC News Today is reporting, quote, hazardous waste from the site is once again on the move after the EPA temporarily paused shipments over the weekend. The material is being transported to vetted EPA disposal sites in nearby East Liverpool and Vickery, Ohio. I believe East Liverpool is within a 30-mile radius of East Palestine. So they're kind of keeping the contaminated stuff in that same vicinity now after backlash from shipping it all the way across the country. And now they're just going to try to bury it right there in Ohio, I guess. What a mess. One of the companies that was hired to dispose of the waste is U.S. Ecology Wayne Disposal. I looked them up and they have locations in Belleville, Michigan and in Pasadena, Texas right here. So Michigan and Texas bearing the brunt of this contamination, this absolute disaster with Norfolk Southern. Now, Michigan is close to Ohio, but us down here in Texas, we're nowhere close. We're across the country from where the spill happened. And you're telling us now that literally around 200 truckloads of toxic waste were shipped across the country for about a week with no Americans knowing. And we're supposed to hope that that waste didn't leak out or spill in one of the states in between because you guys were just hauling it on through. Did any waste get out? You know, did any of these trucks leak the waste while they were carrying it all the way from Ohio to Texas? We have so many questions now. Between Ohio, we got Ohio, you know, waste could have leaked in Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and then there's Texas. You know, all those states in between, and nobody was aware that this toxic waste was being hauled on through. And now this lawsuit is claiming that the toxic waste was a chemical warfare, the same chemical makeup of the toxic waste in Ohio was the chemical makeup of a chemical warfare agent used in World War I, then banned by the Geneva Convention. This toxic waste capable of altering your DNA, according to the lawsuit filed in Ohio. Pretty horrifying. Now, I know a lot of you guys have asked about other derailments. We've been seeing explosions and derailments. They've been trending on social media now. The influencers are sharing them, and viewers are wondering what is happening. Is our entire country being detonated? Is this pre-planned to destroy the population? And I think that influencers jumping on various disasters may be a bit misleading, because as a news reporter who has covered disasters like this my entire career, I can tell you that they get covered in the local news, not in the national news. Now, when a big story like this becomes trending, suddenly every little disaster becomes nationalized. And some of these disasters do look pretty bad. And you know, even I'm like, okay, is something up? Because it seems like a lot of things back to back. But I think that people are handpicking disasters from across the country and making it seem like they're like something is pre-staged. Newsweek covered how often train derailments happen between 1990 and 1990 and 2021. There was an average of 1,700 train derailments per year. That's a lot of train derailment, 1,700 per year. That would be 142 per month. 142 train derailments per month. If you get video of each derailment and put it back to back on social media, you think the world's falling apart. But these happen often. It's just they normally don't go viral and get covered so much. So I just want to continue to keep it real with everyone, you know, because some people make it seem like the world is literally ending and we need to keep some things in perspective. I can tell you that down here in Southeast Texas, chemical spills and explosions are somewhat common with all the oil refineries we have. So, I've been on the scene of a few major horrifying spills, and those probably altered my DNA, jacked up my skin. So I was a clueless young reporter, like, yeah, I'm on an action scene. Meanwhile, the veteran reporters were like, we are glad for you to take that story, Ivory. We do not want to go out in that benzene polluted air. And I just went out there proudly covering. There was the ITC fire in 2019 where a gas holding tank facility caught on fire. It was engulfed in explosions and flames for 3 weeks straight. Crews worked to put out the fire. They couldn't put out this fire for 3 weeks straight. I stood in front of billowing explosive flames. And I thought my job was so cool. I loved being in the action. And then I later learned how my skin was damaged. And I had like this big brown mark on my forehead that I'd never had something like that. It took me like a year or two for my skin to finally heal. But I feel like my skin has never quite been the same after covering the ITC fire, and officials admitted there were high levels of benzene in the air, which is cancerous. Luckily, I'm a health nut and I've done detoxes, so hopefully I don't have cancer. But this stuff is no joke, and it's been happening. Things like this do happen across the nation. So I just want to keep that in perspective for you guys. This is not an unprecedented thing. Bad disasters like this have happened in the past. You're saying stay out of the sun. Yeah. It was after the fire, after covering that explosive fire, that my skin reacted differently to the sun. So I think something that stuff like chemically altered my skin somehow. But I do believe strongly in the body's ability to heal. And so I think you can reverse. You're saying, Ivory, can you still have babies? Yes, I can still, as far as I can tell. So, all right. Acid rain. Yeah. That's what they said was in the air. Vinyl chloride up in Ohio. Scary stuff. They said it was benzene in the air. I'm looking at comments. Officials told us it was benzene. I don't know about that second word. I'm not familiar with it. I don't think that was included in the air. You're saying it's not normal. These trains carrying energy-related materials, oil refinery explosions, metal fabrication plants. I'm telling you, things like this have a tendency to explode. These are very flammable items. Now, a lot of plants have machinery that can cause fires, so it's not uncommon for that to happen. Oil refineries, oil and gas are very flammable. And then when a train is carrying the same sort of energy related materials, that stuff is flammable. So I want to be practical while also exploring serious questions. You said I'm X-Men now? Gene altered X-woman. What if it did turn me into an X-woman? And I'm still discovering those superpowers. Checking all your comments. Thanks for tuning in late night. You said it's been happening every day for the month of February. Crazy things like this. Well, like I said, Newsweek broke down the stats, and according to them, there are 142. There's an average of 142 derailments per month. So that would be multiple derailments per day. But not every derailment makes headlines. So there you go. You just have to keep it all in perspective and not always jump to conclusions, and be sure, no matter what, to trust life, trust your ability to handle what's happening in your world, to trust yourself, to take care of yourself. I hate to see people watching tragedies going on around the world, and then they start believing that they don't have any personal power to direct their lives the way they want. So in seeing all of this, it's important to own your own power and believe that you can direct your future in a positive direction. There's too many people losing hope with these crazy headlines, and I hate to see that. There's always hope for a safe and prosperous future. There's always hope for healing if you're injured. And so stay positive through all this, you guys. Thank you for the super chat. Better an ex-woman than an ex-WFE. Oh, ex-wife. But I'll take either. Yeah, I'm not an ex-wife. I'm glad to not be an ex-wife. I guess I'm an ex-woman after being contaminated with benzene at the ITC fire. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying up late with me. Be sure to take your sleeping pill tonight. It's all natural herbs. And you can get it at the link down in the description. I hope you guys enter the month of March with some positive vibes amid all these crazy headlines. Don't let the headlines get to you. We're trying to make sense of it together. Thanks for supporting my channel. Please click subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, share, and we guys will see you in March. We'll see you in March. Have a good one. Bye.